Agricultural biotechnology refers to a set of tools, including traditional breeding techniques, that alter living organisms or parts of organisms in order to create or modify products, improve plants or animals, or develop microorganisms for specific agricultural applications. Genetic modification is one of the techniques used in agriculture biotechnology. Genetic modification, GM, is a technique that transfer of genes between organisms using a series of laboratory techniques for cloning genes, splicing DNA segments together, and inserting genes into cell. It also alters the characteristics of organisms when transferring a fragment of genetic material, DNA, from one organism to another. This can be done by selectively removing desired genes from one organism's DNA and transferring them to the other. This technology also can be known as genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology. For instance, this technique has been used to develop fungi and bacteria that produce medicine. Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are the organism that has undergone this technique. Genetically modified foods, GM foods, are foods that are made with or from genetically modified organisms. Genetically modified crops, GM crops, are plants used in agriculture. In plants, the genetic modification distinguishes into cisgenesis and transgenesis. So, what is cisgenesis? Cisgenesis is the transfer of genetic material derived from a related plant. This method has been used in potatoes, in which the DNA from wild potato plants is used to make the consumer potatoes have more resilient to Phytophthora. Meanwhile, transgenesis is the transfer of genetic material from unrelated species. The purpose of the genetic modification is to add desired characteristics to living organisms. The examples of desired characteristics are disease resistance or drought resistance, which these desired characteristics can be added by using this technique. Although through crossing species also can attain those desired characteristics, but this process also brings unwanted characteristics. Besides, crossing species process also takes longer time. Therefore, with the use of genetic modification, a new variety with the desired traits can be generated in a short amount of time because only the desired gene is transferred. Do you wonder about how does GM work? GM, which is also known as genetic engineering, is a process that involves 4 steps, which are identifying the gene that gives an organism a desired trait, copying that gene from the organism that has the trait, inserting that gene into the DNA of another organism, and growing the new organism. Let's take GM crop as an example. To produce GM crops, the first step is identify. Scientists identify what trait they want that plant to have. Then, they find an organism such as plant, animal, or microorganism that already has that trait within its genes. The second step is copy. Scientists copy the gene with the desired trait after they found that gene. The third step is insert. Scientists use tools to insert the gene into the DNA of the plant. This new trait does not change the other existing traits. The last step is grow. Scientists grow the new organism to ensure it has adopted the desired trait in the laboratory. If successful, scientists will first grow and monitor the new organism in greenhouses and then in small field tests before moving it into larger field tests. Can genetic modification really benefit society? Well, the answer is yes. Firstly, genetically modified crops have better flavor and higher nutritional value. For example, genetically modified golden rice contain high levels of vitamin A, therefore alleviating global vitamin deficiencies and malnutrition, according to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization. Secondly, these crops have longer shelf life due to enhanced natural qualities of the food itself, so they are able to stay fresh for a longer period, which makes transportation and storage easy for long distances without impacting the quality. Hence farmers can export their products abroad and able to gain more profit. Thirdly, genetically modified crops are resistant to diseases and pests, therefore require less usage of herbicides and pesticides. This benefits the society as it prevents the runoff of excessive fertilizers which can pollute the water supply, so these crops are eco-friendly because they reduce the environmental impact. Lastly, genetic modified crops are stable and efficient way to sustain sufficient crops to feed the ever-growing population, which is expected to double 12 billion by 2050. These crops can grow in small area with fewer pesticides, water and other resources, but still can produce large yields in shorter period time, so this benefits the farmers as it increases their yields and reduces their production cost, leading to lower prices, hence making it more affordable and resulting in elimination of hunger and poverty in the society.